Welcome to Walking with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 18. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. And I'm going to repeat that. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. It's easy to be thankful when we are comfortable, when we're prosperous, or when we're healthy. But when we lose loved ones, when we suffer setbacks, or we struggle with illnesses, it conflicts with our gratitude. But even through these things, God does not abandon us. It says in the scriptures, I will not forsake you. God does not lie. God cannot lie. He is righteous and he is holy. It is impossible for him to lie. There's a lot of people that struggle with faith. There's a lot of people when they're struggling with faith and they can't seem to make it through this and that. Instead of leaning towards God, running towards God, they try to understand everything with their own understanding and with their own knowledge. And so when they think that they're going to turn to somebody who might be possibly a little bit smarter than them, that's maybe written some books here and there that speak against the Bible, because people tend to do that when they're mad and hurt and angry. They want to see what the other side has to say. And Satan does that for a reason, to get you to turn away from God instead of turning to God. And that's why you have this dude that writes this book that says that there's like over the 200 contradictions in the Bible. I had somebody who tried to say that to me. Is like, well, you need to go check this dude out because he sits there and points out that there's over 200 contradictions in the Bible. I said, no, sir, I don't have to read that, because that is a lie. I said, that is written by somebody who doesn't understand the Bible, nor understands who has written the Bible. So therefore, he could claim and say that all he wants to, and yes, he could point to this and this and that, but when you don't have the understanding of who wrote the Bible and what the whole story of the Bible is, and of course, you could sit there and say that this book contradicts this book. It doesn't. First of all, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John was not written by the same people. They're telling the same story from their point of view. So if you don't know and understand that, and you believe that this book was written by one person, then of course you're going to say that it contradicts itself. But that's because you don't understand and that person didn't understand. So that guy, this is what happens when people who do not understand what this word is saying will point things out like that and stand on their so-called truth. But they're not standing on God's truth. In fact, the scriptures tell us that this book was written and Jesus spoke in parables for a reason. For it was not meant for everybody to know and understand. He wrote it that way so the ones that truly belong to him and really is after God in their own heart will seek him, will seek his wisdom, will seek his knowledge, will seek his understanding. And God would give it to them because he knows that it's people after his own heart. And see, the ones that don't belong to him, who don't care, who don't truly have God in their heart, is not going to search and try to seek the truth and the right answers. They're going to take everything at face value, and they're going to take other people's words for it. Just because somebody has a doctorate degree, don't mean they know diddly squat. It just means that they have a degree, a piece of paper. God created everything. Do you see him behind him having all these doctrines and all these degrees, proving how intelligent he is? Science has all the people who has the highest IQs ever working for them. They try to get the best of the best of the smartest of the smartest. And they have degrees up the yin yang. But they can't even catch up to the things that God has done. They try to clone things. They can't do that successfully. Right now, they're trying to create food that God has created in labs. And they can't even succeed at that. Oh, it's got a lot of people tricked because it almost looks the same, but it's not the same. You got bananas that are so rubbery, you can't even break them. And a banana is so soft, you don't even need a knife to cut it. But you get the ones from the labs, and they're so rubbery, they won't even break. You look at God's food creation, and then you go to the supermarket and really look at the food that they have there and tell me that it's not grown in the lab when your carrots are all the same size. Carrots don't even look like that in nature. They're not even that bright orange. You got to pay attention. But science has spent his whole life trying to catch up with God and has gotten nowhere near. But yet people want to use science and say that science proves that God does not exist. Honey, all they have done is prove that God exists. Because they cannot recreate or reproduce the same things or on the same level that God has done. All they've done is done nothing but prove God's existence. They haven't even begun to catch up with the things that God has done. You can't. There isn't a degree. There isn't a measurement that could even measure the scales of God's intelligence and wisdom. So to hold what somebody says just because they have a piece of paper telling them that they are smarter than you is foolishness. Instead, won't you go towards the one whose creation has stood the test of time from generation to generation? The waterfalls, the trees, the flowers, the plants, the fruits, the vegetables, the animals, the fact that you're breathing and you was created. Won't you go towards the one who created all that? Believe on that word. There's a reason why this book is called the Living Word. Besides the fact that John says that God was the Word and the Word was God and God is living, is the fact that this Word, this Bible is the original never-ending story because its words speak from yesterday, today, and in the present. In the future. Its words hold true then, and its words will hold true in the future. As it speaks to us today, it spoke to them yesterday, and it's going to speak to those in the present. Everything is going to match up as if we was living that day. That's why it's the living word. God is alive. God is the word. The word is alive, and the word is truth. God is truth. He tells you, I am the truth. His word is the truth. This Bible points to any and everything that was ever created and ever existed and ever will be. We need to learn to appreciate, because we take too much of everything that God has done for granted and lightly. He is worthy of praise. He is worthy of being thankful, of being grateful to, and not just because we have received something, but just for the simple fact that we exist and that everything exists. And the fact that out of all the things that we have done, He still loves us, and He still wants to call us His children, because we simply do not deserve. We do not deserve Him. Thank God that he does love us. Thank God that he is our creator, our Father, and our God.